Have you ever noticed how some people grow older with a sense of peace and liberation, while others feel increasingly confined by their relationships? The reality is that having a partner later in life isn't always the blessing it's made out to be. For many, it becomes a slow drain on their energy, restricting their freedom and adding unnecessary stress to their later years. If you've ever felt that maintaining a relationship at this stage in life demands more than it gives back, you're not alone. In this video, we'll explore 5 key reasons why being in a relationship during old age can sometimes make life more difficult rather than easier. But before we begin, it's important to understand that acknowledging these challenges isn't about rejecting companionship altogether. Instead, it's about seeing relationships for what they truly are and making choices that genuinely support your well-being. Stick with me until the end, because what we're about to discuss might completely change how you view relationships in your later years. 1. The emotional toll of constant compromise. As you grow older, your tolerance for unnecessary stress diminishes. Yet, relationships often demand ongoing compromise. In youth, adjusting your habits, preferences, and even long-term goals might feel natural in the name of harmony. But over time, you may start questioning whether these sacrifices are worth the cost to your inner peace. Even the smallest daily decisions, what to eat, where to go, or how to spend your time, can turn into exhausting negotiations, slowly depleting your emotional reserves. Take Robert, for instance, a 74-year-old man who spent decades prioritizing his wife's needs, only to realize that his own desires had been sidelined for years. Now, all he wants is to enjoy quiet mornings, but his wife insists on turning on the television at full volume as soon as she wakes up. Though seemingly minor, these daily frustrations accumulate, transforming a once-loving relationship into an ongoing struggle of unmet needs and compromises. At a certain stage in life, you shouldn't have to sacrifice your comfort and peace just to accommodate someone else's preferences. Yet, many people remain caught in emotional routines, constantly managing their partner's moods, offering reassurances, making apologies, and bending their own desires for the sake of maintaining balance. The emotional weight of these responsibilities only grows heavier with age. Instead of experiencing the freedom to shape your days as you choose, you may find yourself trapped in the familiar cycle of keeping your partner happy, often at your own expense. The hard truth: a relationship that drains your emotional energy in old age is no longer serving you. At this stage in life, your peace of mind should take precedence over outdated obligations. But too often, people remain in relationships out of habit rather than genuine happiness, never realizing how much lighter life could feel if they allowed themselves to step away from the burden of constant compromise. 2. The loss of true independence. One of the greatest freedoms of old age is the ability to finally live life on your own terms after decades of responsibilities. Raising children, working hard, and maintaining relationships, you earn the right to do as you please. Yet, being in a relationship often means that your choices are still tied to someone else's needs, habits, and expectations. You might think you're enjoying your golden years together, but in reality, you may be sacrificing the very thing that makes this stage of life truly fulfilling: absolute independence. Consider Frank, a 78-year-old man who spent his life as a dedicated husband. After his wife passed, he realized that he had never truly made decisions just for himself. His entire life had been structured around compromise, from where they lived to what they ate to how they spent their free time. When he finally experienced true independence, he discovered something surprising. He had never known the joy of waking up with no obligations, no schedules dictated by another person's needs, and no pressure to explain his choices. It was a sense of freedom he had unknowingly longed for his entire life. Many older couples struggle with this reality. Even in happy relationships, you're expected to check in, coordinate schedules, and adjust your plans to accommodate another person. It's not about disliking your partner, It's simply about recognizing how much of your autonomy disappears in a shared life. You may no longer feel free to travel on a whim, pick up new hobbies without consultation, or even change your routine without considering someone else's reaction. Then there's the mental independence that slowly erodes over time. In a long-term relationship, opinions become blended, and individual perspectives can fade. You might not even realize how much your thought process has been influenced by years of discussions, debates, and compromises with your partner. But when you're truly alone, you gain the rare opportunity to reconnect with your pure, unfiltered thoughts. You remember what it feels like to make decisions solely based on what brings you happiness, not what maintains balance in a relationship. Independence isn't just about living alone. It's about the ability to move through life without unnecessary constraints. The longer you're in a relationship, the more you become conditioned to adapt and adjust. But in old age, the greatest gift you can give yourself is the ability to live without those invisible restrictions, fully embracing your own desires without hesitation. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend doing so and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move on. 3. The silent exhaustion of constant compromise. In the early stages, relationships provide comfort, companionship, and joy. But as you grow older, you may realize they also require something you no longer have the patience or energy for: endless compromise. It's not always obvious at first. The small sacrifices: a meal you don't prefer, a TV show you tolerate, a schedule that isn't your own, may seem insignificant, but over time they accumulate, chipping away at your personal freedom in ways you don't even notice. That is, until you experience life without them. Take Robert, a 74-year-old man who spent decades adjusting his life to fit his wife's preferences. He loved her dearly, never once questioning the countless small accommodations he made. But after she passed away, something unexpected happened. Instead of overwhelming loneliness, he felt relief. For the first time in years, every decision, what to eat, how to spend his mornings, what to watch, was entirely his own. He hadn't realized just how exhausting constant compromise had become until it was no longer required of him. Compromise in youth is a natural part of growth. It builds patience, cooperation, and understanding. But in old age, it can feel like a weight, one that keeps you from fully enjoying the time you have left. You may not even realize how much of yourself you've given up until you step outside the cycle of constantly balancing your needs with someone else's. Even everyday decisions, what furniture to keep, how to handle medical issues, or whether to travel, turn into ongoing discussions, negotiations, and sometimes frustrations. For many, this dynamic becomes emotionally exhausting. Instead of embracing the peace that should come with age, they find themselves still caught in the habit of adjusting, compromising, and sacrificing. But the truth is, as you get older, one of the greatest luxuries in life is the ability to make decisions without resistance, explanation, or debate. And the mental clarity that comes with that, the freedom to exist without filtering your thoughts or justifying your choices, can be one of the most liberating experiences of all. The heavy burden of caretaking. That no one talks about. When people imagine long-term relationships in old age, they often picture love, support, and companionship lasting through life's final years. What's rarely discussed, however, is the immense weight that comes when one partner's health begins to decline, and, in many cases, that decline happens faster than expected. Consider James, a 77-year-old man who had been married for over 50 years. When his wife fell ill, he naturally stepped in as her caregiver. At first, it was manageable, helping her with small tasks, making sure she took her medication, offering emotional support. But as months turned into years, his own health began to deteriorate. He wasn't sleeping well, his weight dropped, and stress consumed his every waking moment. The role that had started as an act of love had become an obligation that left him with little time to care for himself. This is the reality for many elderly couples. When one person falls ill, the other often becomes a full-time caregiver, whether they're physically or emotionally prepared for it or not. And while society views this as noble, the truth is that it takes a serious toll. Studies show that elderly caregivers experience higher rates of anxiety, depression, and even physical illness due to the strain of constantly tending to another person's needs. It's a role that requires sacrifice, sacrifices that over time can drain a person's spirit as much as their health. The harsh irony? By the time one partner passes away, the other is often left in worse shape than they would have been if they had remained independent. Even when both partners are relatively healthy, the constant worry, monitoring medications, keeping up with doctor's appointments, ensuring the other is eating and staying active, can be mentally exhausting. For those who remain single or choose independent living in their later years, this burden is often avoided entirely. Without the responsibility of managing someone else's well-being, they are free to focus on their own health, maintain their routines, and preserve their peace of mind. Loving someone is a beautiful experience, but carrying the weight of another person's decline can be one of the heaviest burdens to bear. As you grow older, prioritizing your own mental and physical well-being may be the most important decision you can make. If you're still here and finding these insights valuable, leave a comment with number 4 below to let me know you're watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Your support allows us to continue creating meaningful content designed to inform and inspire. Now, let's continue. 5. The financial and emotional strain of late-life partnerships. Many people assume that having a partner in old age brings comfort and security, but what they fail to realize is that it can also bring immense financial and emotional strain. The later years of life should be a time of peace. However, many who remain in relationships find themselves dealing with the added stress of shared expenses, medical bills, and even disputes over money. Think about Robert, an 80-year-old man who had been widowed for over a decade. He lived comfortably on his savings and pension, spending his time doing things he loved. But when he entered a new relationship in his mid-70s, and things quickly changed. His new partner had financial struggles of her own, and suddenly he found himself paying for more than he had expected. Shared living expenses, medical costs, and even helping her adult children with their problems. What started as companionship quickly turned into an unspoken financial obligation. Before he knew it, he was dipping into his savings just to maintain the relationship. This isn't uncommon. Many seniors who enter relationships later in life find that their financial security becomes intertwined with another person's circumstances. While some couples manage this well, others experience deep stress when one partner is financially dependent on the other. But it's not just about money. It's about control, independence, and fairness. Beyond finances, there's also the emotional cost. Arguments over spending habits, inheritances, or medical expenses can lead to resentment. Some seniors find themselves trapped in toxic relationships, unable to leave due to financial dependence or the fear of being alone. The result? More stress, less happiness, and a sense of obligation that overshadows what should be a fulfilling final chapter in life. On the other hand, those who choose to remain single often report feeling more in control of their financial futures. They spend money on their own terms, save without guilt, and make decisions that serve their best interests. There's a freedom in knowing that every dollar they earn, save, or spend is entirely their own decision. Ultimately, relationships in old age aren't just about love. They come with responsibilities, financial burdens, and emotional tolls that many people overlook. If financial security and peace of mind matter to you, staying independent may be one of the wisest choices you can make. Final thoughts. As you journey through life, the choices you make in your later years become even more important. While many assume that having a partner is a necessity, The reality is that, for some, it brings more stress than joy. Aging should be about freedom. The freedom to make your own decisions, to live without unnecessary burdens, and to prioritize your own well-being. The idea that companionship is the key to happiness isn't always true, especially if that companionship comes with obligations, conflicts, and limitations on your independence. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Are you living in a way that truly serves your happiness? Are you maintaining relationships because they genuinely bring you joy, or are you holding on to them out of habit, fear, or obligation? Every person's situation is different, but one thing is certain: your later years should be a time of peace, not unnecessary hardship. Whether you choose to be with someone or remain independent, make sure it's because it genuinely makes your life better. Aging isn't about following societal expectations. It's about making the smartest decisions for yourself. And sometimes the smartest decision is walking away from what no longer serves you. Thank you for watching. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.